video because I've been seeking to make space for videos during the day in my schedule that is filling up, which I like that it's filling up. Though it's funny, a little game that we vloggers and readers and intuitives play with. And for those of you who are doing your own channels, like, should I do it now? And how much time do I want to put into it? And do I have enough space between this daily activity and that thing over there to be able to really relax into it and give you something that you like to listen to? Especially as I really enjoy those of you who occasionally tell me that you really love listening to the story of me, I guess, and that you've been living vicariously through it. I bless you. Or blessed be to you. I appreciate you appreciating me. Now, I decided to go with making this the fourth episode of the Wickedly Divine Tour. It's funny because it could have fit in with the countdown of the Mars and Venus in Capricorn placement. It could have been another episode of the homelessness blog. It could have just been a random thing on its own, but all day it's been kind of nagging at me that, like, I started this Wickedly Divine Feminine Tour, and a wise person once told me that the work can be done anywhere. And I had already thought about that when I got pulled back in from my actual, like, traveling. And then now, things have, some interesting plot twists have occurred. And I find myself in kind of that feeling of the energy of the Wickedly Divine Feminine or Wickedly Divine Lightwork Tour. And I'm fascinated by this. So I'm like going, you know what? I hear you, Spirit Team. I'm listening. I'm going to go with that name and we'll just see what happens. So for those of you who've been wondering, like, update of things. So I know I put some stuff on the community page and whatnot. I found us a temporary trade in a small, it's like a, oh, what is it? It's like a 28-foot Class A trailer with a little one bedroom in it that Eamon gets to have all to himself. And then I come and sleep in the main area when I need to because I'm working my butt off so that we can have a house. And keeping track of his brother and helping get him ready, prepping for community college, making sure that he's taking care of Squeak, who is doing well. A kind stranger and soul on Facebook sent a appropriately sized cage, at least for the situation that we're in, which is much more what Squeak was used to before we had to leave the yellow house. And he's got a bunch of toys now too. We just got him a thing of wheatgrass from the store. We looked up, like, can they have that because they had it on sale, and now he's kind of been playing with it and enjoying it, sort of like a cat would with like cat grass. So it's been really cool. And so while we have that for a little bit, so that we're not like completely in the cars, we're still in this like transitional phase of things. And it's funny because it's like, I mean, I did a video, I think it was the one of the homelessness episodes of like still homeless, like because I could feel stuff coming in. But there's been this energy for a while of like wait for it. Wait for it. Not like don't do anything or don't make any decisions. It's just like sometimes give something just a little bit of patience and then like release it but still have opening for it, like, like let it go, it's all good, love what we got, not in a space of lack or need about that thing or this thing or that amount or whatever thing, but leave room open for it. And then you smaller ways that I'll go into when I talk more about my manifesting videos. But in any case, so I was for a while working at a really cool equestrian center, 50 horse equestrian center. I think there was a little more than 50 horses there, but I'm not positive. I didn't unfortunately get to work with all of them, and it's okay because like I'm still new, so I'm still learning a lot of things, but I got to work with a lot of them, and it's interesting too. Like there's so many different personalities and temperaments and levels of mischievousness and brattiness and shyness and sweetness and sassiness and just like everything you can imagine. Every horse is so interesting and different, as are most of their owners. And I really enjoy doing that work in general. Anyways, I got to work there for a while. I got trained to do a PM schedule and how to do some odd jobs and things like that. We're going to go back probably in a few weeks to fill in for a gal who's going to go on vacation. And I thought I was going to be working there a little bit more like regularly, maybe not full time, but at least regularly for my shift. I was doing 6 days a week, and but they were over budget on labor, and like obviously being the new person, I was like, well, if somebody's got to be off the schedule, like don't pull me back. Like you can call me for odd jobs or various other things. Like I'm well aware that it's better for the horses to have the more experienced people around, and I mean it's safer for me too. um and also, I like having something in a situation like that. Like it's a good reference. It's an okay thing. There was no drama on any side of thing. Like yes, please and thank you for more interactions with other humans that are pleasant in that way. Doesn't have to be the sorry we don't have work for you right now kind of way, but in the you know what, we're good for right now, we'll do it later. And that got me to thinking too, because I had already started looking for like odd jobs and other like part-time jobs that I could fill in the spaces where I wasn't like when I wasn't working for that place. And I found a couple things doing some landscaping, went back to the sheepdog farm and cleaned up the sheep. I got to meet some baby lammies. I think you guys may have seen on my community section that I put up pictures of the twin lammies, and it's so funny too because I didn't know gender or not gender, but I just felt this energy that one was a boy and one was a girl, and so in my head I was calling them like DM and DF because like twins, and like how funny is that? And then I find out they were a boy and a girl, and they named them Vernon and Petunia from Harry Potter, which just made me laugh even more. Like, and those are such goat names too. Like, so I mean, it's funny how it fits back and forth. Anyways, so I got to do that. And then I've been talking with somebody there about doing some work at a pampered pet doggy daycare. And I just did a dump run for a different horse farm and talking about doing some trail clearing. And I'm thinking about doing some house cleaning out in Mount Vernon. And then today I just drove out drove out to Woodby Island. Like it was a lot longer of a drive than I expected to, but it's okay. It wasn't an unpleasant drive. It was just a longer drive than I expected. It was like, okay, I'm really gonna have to look at how much. Like it's more about how much gas do I spend, but the gas isn't too bad. But I have to budget my time. But it's a nice job. I really, really like the people. I like the stables. It's very hilly land. I feel like my legs will be very nice this summer because I think there's one. I can't. I don't know if they call it Hal Hill or Hell Hill, but it's like almost like a horseshoe in its own thing, and I can see how some folks would get it would give it that sort of a name. But I'm like looking at it going, hey, hot girl summer ahead. Fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like I see how much weight I dropped in the last 24 months just getting up and walking, and like how much better my body has been doing. Like I'm not trying to overdo it. There's been a couple of days, especially after I did some a stacking of hay bales, and it was 78 pretty much on my own. And like it's one of those, if you go to the gym and you work out just enough, not enough to where you're like, oh man, I'm sore, but enough to where when you move, you can feel like where the muscles hurt, but it's not like I've had chronic pain from arthritis, so it's not pain, but it's like that feeling of a muscle that's been stretched and worked and like has a little tension because it's growing, because it's like, oh, I need to be stronger here and do this and that there so the body can keep up. And it's like, man, isn't the body amazing in how many things that it can do? And also just like I mean, there were so many times, especially like 24 months ago, like dealing with my DM's immaturity and like all that different stuff going on and like my family stuff. Like, I would have just straight up turned down stuff like that, not because I didn't like it, but because one, I didn't have the self love to recognize that I could try more and do different things, and two, like I was in such victim consciousness about like my body's capabilities, and like everyone else was retelling the stories also about my incapabilities, like especially physically and stuff, and like but then at the same time simultaneously dismissing them when it came to like if I can't do shit, then I can't exactly work. And I remember I kept saying too is like what I simply need is retraining in some different industries, like the ones that I was working in were complicating physical stuff. So it's like I just need a different avenue. But pretty much everyone else is like, if it's not a straight city thing and like the perfect image of like corporate success, it's not there. And I don't mind corporate success. I'm just saying like any sort of things out of the norm or any schedules that aren't like a typical schedule, like everybody was like, no, no, you can't do that or you shouldn't. Then it became you shouldn't do that even if you could be successful at it. And like now I'm in the space where I'm like, you know what? I have always like thought about in my mind how like for me with my neurodivergence it would be more practical and probably more efficient to do like several part-time jobs to keep the variety going, to keep the because we with especially with ADHD there are challenges in some ways with keeping like dopamine production going in healthy ways, which I'm really happy to say. It was funny, I was thinking about it like in terms of the physical abilities, like some of the stuff that I've seen in spiritual ceremonies and in mundane life and things like that is like there are two times when the body can do more and or grow and or heal in ways that like it wouldn't otherwise. The first is like fear, like adrenaline, like you see somebody, what is it, a mother be able to pick up a car to get it off of a person or a child or something like that, like incredible strength, adrenaline, running faster than you'd normally think, being braver than you normally would be. And then the other is when you are passionate about what you're doing, like you enjoy what you're doing, you look for the joy in what you're doing, right? And like that keeps you going. Because I was thinking about it, like I really, when I was at 18 before I was pregnant with my oldest Eamon, I used to love going to labor ready type places because every day I got the variety. And I would show up like earlier than everybody, and like I knew I was the youngest, and I was a woman, which at the time, like, well, in 18, it's pretty much a girl to everybody there. Like, there's definitely was not as many women in like construction workforce sort of area as there are now. I'm really, really happy to see actually, like, most of the people I've met out here in like every trade and field and almost every farm are mostly women. Like, that's awesome. But like back then that was unheard of, and I definitely, I mean, I'm not like a giant person. I have giant goddess energy, like what is it, phenomenal cosmic powers, itty bitty living space, right? I'm one of those like beautiful, surprising, and strong things can come in petite packages. You know what I mean? And I used to love like going and doing like I'd go in there and be like, give me your dirtiest job that nobody else wants. I don't even care if it pays well. Just hand it over. I'll do it because I knew, like, one, I was at a disadvantage and not because of anything that I did or didn't do. So I needed to get jobs to prove that I could do jobs, right? And also I know that your attitude really determines a whole lot of things that you get or don't get, opportunities you might have or not have. And like there were many times that like I showed up people that had had decades upon decades of experience over me, and I got the callbacks, and I was able to do the stuff, and my attitude made a difference in all of it, right? So, like, when I was looking at my odd schedule, I was thinking, you know what? Okay, if I'm doing 6 days a week I'm not doing too many hours. I still have time in the mornings. I was already thinking about doing two jobs. This way, I could get another part-time job and fit it in so that it's not completely on, like preferably have a day off, but even if I don't, that I have some longer time so that, like, if Joey wants to come over or Eamon wants to go do something regular, we have it. Maybe like keep the Thursday evenings open for the kids karaoke, whatever thing. Like, I'm going, I could work with that more, and it would be, I would be able to work my schedule a little bit better. And if one job was not, like, either it doesn't work out, because sometimes that happens, or like some other myriad of things may happen economically, any sort of stuff, I still have the other job, and then I can put another one in the other one's place. And, and that way, something happens to this one, I got this one, and just kind of like, a lot of it's one like piecemealing experience, which is something that I've done before, and I'm realizing right in this moment I could probably talk about that stuff for people, like, how do you break into a new industry? This isn't the first time that I've done this, right? So like, but I was thinking about it though, and it's like, it's almost like the real estate science job that I did for a minute, but like, there's a certain amount of passion in it for me because one, I want my 100 acre woods. I don't know how I'm going to get it or how fast I'm going to get it or like what it's going to take to do it. I'm going to do it. And oh man, it just feels so good just to think about it. I'm like, at least 20 acres because I could see what 10 acres looks like. And I've seen what 50 acres looks like. And I'm like, I really would like 20 acres. I'm willing to settle with less. I think it'd have to be a minimum of five because I've seen two and I'm like, no, I like five. Um, I like 20, but I'll do five, between five and more. Anyways, in the vision that we, like, me and my DM and my kids worked on for like the last like 6 years, and so it was like I always included in a homestead. My youngest wanted to have an orchard of various trees and various fruits, which I like too, and I always talked about growing some crops that were for us and learning the community around and trading whatever we don't grow or do, and then getting into like farmers markets and stuff like that. And my DM and we talk about, like, I've always loved horses. He knows it. I know that he heard about me. He probably heard about me working with horses and was like, that makes absolute sense. Like, if she was going to go out of the norm and go do something that like nobody else would expect, that would be the thing that he should have expected because it is very me. Um, and also, it's funny because he was born in the year of the horse, and it just makes me laugh, especially with how much I'm learning about her, showing me to work with the horses that actually work really well with him and with myself. Like, working with horses has been really great because I learn a lot about my own personal boundaries. And actually, what's funny is I'm far too patient with them. Sound familiar, right? In any case, the driving of that, like, that goal in my mind. And also, like, the thing that, like, my youngest Joey and I were thinking, or we have been talking about, like, manifesting at least $1 million, if not more. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you do it with ease and with fun and, like, in a way that makes you love your story? So it have to be something pretty legendary. I like what he said. He's like, well, it has to be a big enough reason that you want it. And I listed out all these, like, valid, logical, kind of, I suppose, adult reasons. And he was like, nah, I don't know about any of those. And then I was like, what if I just want to have like enough that I could just like give you like a whole bunch and Eamon a whole bunch and myself a whole bunch, and we could just have fun with it. And he was like, yeah, that's a good enough reason. And the funny thing is, like, if you listen to the gurus who talk about that sort of stuff, that's exactly where they get you to anyways, like fun with money, right? So like, working with different, it's funny, like working with different animals, not just horses, but like working on farms, where I'm getting to meet different people, getting to do different jobs, getting to, like, the other day I talked to a new person out in Mount Vernon about doing a couple of occasional jobs, and like it was really great because they were odd jobs, but they were odd jobs that I've done before. So I had, and like, I've always had references, but most people don't call them, and usually they're for like more corporate chain jobs and stuff. And actually, over the years, because of the stuff that I've done, and like I've got plenty of people who worked with me, worked for me, like volunteered with me, all this different stuff. And then recently from doing odd jobs, I have those people too, and I'm like, hey, doesn't that feel fucking great? I have people that vouch for me. They're like, yeah, she's always happy in this. And it's funny though, because like getting to do that sort of thing and getting to meet the people that I meet and learn the things that I learn about different horses. And I might do some work with a rescue too, which I really like that idea. And just so many different things, so many different aspects. There's so many things to learn that I don't even know that there are to learn. And as somebody who's just a nerd about learning in general, I love that. It feels like there are places, like if you had muscles in your arms that don't get worked out that much, and then you do work that works them out, it's kind of like that for the brain. Like you can go and pick something to learn about that, like, you can go and read all the things that you want about it and stuff like that, but there's nothing quite like just diving into it and just being open to whatever there is to learn and learning various different ways to approach things or think about things or do things. And like horses and horse people is definitely a world that I've always been interested in and know, like, well, I mean, see, I would have started with this much about it, but I'd say this much now. I know about this much. I know a fair amount. I know enough to speak genuinely about my experience and to show what I can and can't do. I know a little more of the language so that I know what I'm actually like. It's funny to go from I thought I knew what I was talking about to I can see where I didn't exactly know what I was talking about, and now I know what I'm talking about with that, and that, things like that. Anyways, it's really nice to feel like that, like I had that epiphany, is like the reason that I think I can do this stuff now. Like for one thing, I've got a Scorpio placement that has been known for having like magical powers to overcome various like physical ailments and things like that are kind of, I guess, legendary to others, but it's like it's not abnormal. And I've done it in smaller ways before, so it could be some of that. But I think really like the big thing is like I enjoy doing what I'm doing, whether it's like repotting plants or tilling soil or working with various different animals or mucking stalls or whatever it is. Like it's so meditative and it's so nice. And you know what's funny is like, it's gonna be weird to say, it's like it gives me free space to think about whatever I want to think about, but most of the work is so uncomplicated and so like it's like you just focus on the basics of each thing, that it actually helps relieve my mind of a lot of overthought, which then, I mean, so a fair amount of it comes in later when I'm not working, but it's nice. It is really nice. I'm used to being in much more like intellectual type tasks, and I love being intellectual and stuff like that. But along with being in your mind space can come things like, if you're on the twin flame journey, like thinking about your twin flame a whole lot, or like, thinking about like getting caught up in collective stuff. And it's like a lot of the work that I do, I get to do it by myself too. Like I have no problem working with team. I like people, but I definitely also enjoy working by myself. Like there's just something nice with it, and working with animals, like, so it's really nice to be like to make that connection and go, okay, what is it? You know what? It's funny. It reminds me of that door that I saw in Oak Harbor that Eamon just asked me about. It was that there are things that are known and things that are unknown. And in between, there are doors. And I remember at one point I was thinking about it because I had it as my background to my phone for a minute. I was like, I would like to know. I would like to know these doors. See what is it, and do that. And then remind me of Jason Doorways card, which was a video that I had intended to do and did not get to. But like that's what it feels like, is like we're definitely in an energy. I know I'm in an energy, but I feel like y'all probably are feeling some of this too. It's where asking it is given sort of thing. Like we're in there's there's other countdowns going on too. It's like a whole bunch of countdown energy. It's really fascinating. I feel like I know what it means for me, but I'm not really sure what all it means collectively. It's interesting. And it reminds me of that song, The Final Countdown. In any case, in the countdown of 21 months, we're in the 17th month, and I had another epiphany, which was really great. and it felt kind of like the ask about, yes, I would like to see the adjacent doorways and windows and gateways and various different things to do what I want and have what I want and be what I want and feel how I want and all those fun things to learn about all that stuff. And it feels like that's sort of like what's been going on is like I asked to learn about something and then it is there and I learn about it or I get to do it, and it's like, and various things will come in and out, and because we're in the 17th month, like I remember leading up to it because I've been lining them up with the tarot cards. The 17th card is the star card, which is like it's wishes manifested, it's balance, it's strength and vulnerability, it's guidance, astrology, things like that. And my initial intuition about it, and the one that remained for a while, was this is when many of your wishes will be manifested. And it's funny because I realized it's not just that. It's not just that. It's like it is a time when many wishes are being manifested. And if you've been having some wishes manifested, I would love to hear about them in the comments. But like it is a time when many wishes are manifested. Many of mine are right now. Even some of them that I forgot about that happened a while ago. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Now, the other side of it is also a time for making wishes that will soon be manifested. And I realize like that actually fits in with the, like, there's been a lot of syncs with the word miracles and magic and things like that. And like, once in a lifetime, like expect the unexpected sort of stuff, and mysteries. And right now we have Jupiter in Pisces, which is an especially magical time in general, and it's definitely like an expansion upon like 12th house stuff, which 12th house is where magic sits, right? And many miracles and transformations and like deep philosophies, imagination. And it's definitely a time of like, they say Jupiter in Pisces is like I believe. And I remember too, it was so funny. What was it today? I think like I was listening to a reader that I like to listen to, and it was about my sun sign reading, and it said like I have some sort of superpower that I can utilize, like in just being me, that will help me like rise up and like maybe like get that $1 million and get the 100 acre woods and the whole shebang, the whole meal deal. I keep seeing these billboards, different places I drive. This is when all you want is everything, and it's like it's a casino billboard, but it's like, yeah, I want everything, and then some, like which I recognize. Like the beauty of human life is like whenever we get everything that we want, we always want more, and that's a beautiful thing. You really just, especially once you realize how to be grateful for what you have, and then to get more the easy way. Um, but it's one of the, like, I was listening to it, and then like after it I was like, okay, universe, since it's that easy, one of my favorite spiritual lessons, it's that easy. I was like, okay, I want to know what is my superpower or my skill thing. And then like there was there was a couple of different things that happened, and it basically came down to, it was like my belief. There's something in my belief, my attitude of gratitude, my ability to like, I don't know. I know so many people look at the situation we're going through. A lot of them have gone, wow, you're handling this really great. And like, wow, your son's handling it really great. And like this, and that. And it's like, I'm fully cognizant of the awareness of how like most everybody else would have naturally gone. Like they would have spun out. They would have lost it. It probably would have been a lot harder. Or even if it wasn't, they would have been far more emotional in a low vibe way. And like, so many people are impressed that I'm not. And you know what's great is like I would be more impressed with myself if I had not spent so much time over the past 24 months of separation working on self-love and being grateful for what I have and allowing myself to want what I want and doing my shadow work and stuff like that. It's like I took the time to work on me and to do me stuff and to get emotionally stable. And so like now whatever comes my way, it's like I mean, if you're gonna give me lemons, I can put them in my drink or make a drink out of them, or I could grow lemons. If you're gonna give me bricks, it just I can add it to my castle. Like why would I spend time worrying about the low vibeness of anything that we're going through when I'm fully aware of the way the magic of the world works? Like I may not like the stuff that's gone on recently may not be stuff that I would have like looked at a menu and gone, yeah, please give me homelessness for a while. Like that wouldn't have been something that I would have consciously been like, yes, that. But like, I mean, I would much rather consider that like a legendary part of the story of me and my kids, my family, and stuff like that, than to sit around moping about it. Like I swear, like in the moments that it was like spirits, like be selfish, go on a trip, do this stuff, just like do some stuff for you. Like some big things are gonna happen, and you're like, I need you in a good space with you. Like just go do it. And like one of the things in like kind of my shadow self is like an annoyance with people who get really who are in victim consciousness. It's like you talk about how these other people ruined your entire day because they didn't do a thing that you wanted at work, or like people that always do everything and tell people they're not doing it right and cut it out and then complain that nobody else ever does anything, or people who like procrastinate and lengthen things out and then complain about it was always somebody else's fault and then don't fix it, like don't and or disconnect from said person or things like that. And I realized too it was like, I mean, I realized a while ago, like that was a reflection. Like I used to be far more cynical, like far more cynical. That's what I grew up around too. Cynicism and sarcasm, and my own brand of sass. I still like the sass. I leave the cynicism and the sarcasm in the past. Hey, look, that rhymed. But in any case, it definitely feels like it's one of those. It's a beautiful time to make heart wishes. And any of those of you who have been enjoying these vlogs and the Wickedly Divine Lightwork tour, that's a free one for you. If you're listening right now, while Jupiter's in Pisces, make your wishes. Make them good wishes. I mean, you can make any wish you want, but like if you assume that you're gonna get the wish that you want, like you should really be careful about what you wish for. And I will give you a pro tip on manifesting is don't necessarily wish for certain things. Wish for the feeling of having, doing, hearing, saying, feeling, whatever things like I wish to have the feeling of owning my own acreage with house and like being able to say I did it and it's great, and like I wish for the joyful benevolent feeling of like money growing in my pockets and my bank accounts and being able to like show it across YouTube and be like, yes, I did it and you helped me, and look at all the stuff that we all kind of went through together because I did decide to vlog it and whatnot, and like it was like an immersive experience for everybody. I don't know. Like have fun with it. Play with the imagination of it. Even if you only just give it like 5 minutes every day, just play with it. It's working for me pretty well. And I'm enjoying that imaginative space too. Like even if I like I as I said when I pretty much started this channel, like embrace the absurd. Even if it's complete bullshit, you know what? It gave me 5 to 10 to 30 minutes of like good feelings, good vibes, like enjoying the taste of the feeling of something, and then I might recognize that later in a different situation and be able to then build upon that and actually manifest what I want. So yes, 17th month energy, wishes manifesting and wishes manifested. What just came into my mind too is there's a fair amount of like wishes manifesting or that have manifested and are manifesting that are also on the shadow side of things, like, and some of them are mine on my end, but I think I alchemized pretty much most everything before I even went on that trip, so there really wasn't very many things left. But what came into my mind was like my DM and the pirates and everything, and like I know a lot of them are really quick to say I wish blah blah blah, I wish blah blah blah, I wish blah blah, and it's usually a negative thing, and in my mind it was like, oh shit, it's gonna be a lot of their wishes manifested too. And the irony is like a fair amount of them like fulfill my benevolent wishes, like for their healing and wholeness and like healthy boundaries and seeing truth and telling truth and things like that. And it's like, oh, I see how you worked that spirit. You know what I mean? And I've been learning a new spiritual lesson recently too is about spiritual winking. Like when spirit winks at you or when your spirit team winks at you, which is a form of synchronicity. That's the best way I can explain it right now. I'll do it and I'll explain it more in detail as I find the vocabulary to be able to explain it fully to myself. All I can say is it's like if you okay, maybe this is it. Like ask the universe for something like simple, like it could be like tell me what would be fun to focus on right now, and then maybe you go for a drive, and at the stoplight, like maybe you ask it at the stoplight, and then suddenly a truck passes by that gives you a word like gratitude. Like and it's like the universe going, we got your back, like it's winking at you, and been learning about that and learning to feel for the flow of things in different areas and to not like hold attachment necessarily to places or specific people or even specific animals and horses, which is definitely, oh my, too big heart, I love you so much. So in any case, that stuff is going on, and then there's some interesting stuff going on. Like my boys' paternal grandmother, so my DM's mother, recently transitioned into the next life, and my oldest is going to be going with my DM to the funeral, which I'm happy about because he didn't get to do that for his Aunt Donna on my family's end. And it'll be a good experience for them, I'm sure, but it is definitely, he's going into pirate infested waters. And I'm actually practicing not spending a lot of time like preparing him. I'm just having faith in him. He's already super kind and well mannered, and like I know that he understands and respects what sort of occasion it is and things like that too. But it'll definitely be some tests for him and for his dad, my DM. And we'll see how the story goes. I'm hoping just for a pleasant, easy, like I mean, it's not a great occasion, but that it was a decent experience, bonding for, I don't even know. I don't know what to expect. I really don't have like, the plan is there is no plan. I'm I'm hoping for good, healing, wholesome vibes for everybody, pirates included. Which, funny enough, Spirit tells me that in allowing myself to be the one that somewhere just like to be the one that people could be mad at, which used to be a trigger of mine. Like, like I didn't like anybody being mad at me, especially if shit that I did not do, or that was like a twisting of something that I did do, but making it look like either really nefarious or obsessive or things like that. And like now I'm like, eh, it's kind of amusing, which also led me to getting into karaokeing some of the like Disney villain songs, like Ursula's "Poor Unfortunate Souls," which I'm really delighted that like so for my oldest birthday like we didn't get a lot of people that came, but we did get it. My DM boys' dad did show up with our youngest Joey, and so they came. And what was funny is like I was so tired from working and stuff and just so happy that like both my sons got that experience and things like that that I wasn't like, oh, I definitely picked songs that like my DM would know were like, oh, I'm talking to you, buddy. But they weren't like I've done them so much that I knew that he'd be impressed that I did them and possibly think that I was trying to impress him, but really I was in this energy of like, I like singing these songs and I'm just gonna do them for me just like I do on a regular basis. Like I'm always thinking about him and I'm definitely thinking about him when I do the songs that I do, but all the songs that I do are songs that were meaningful to us because those are the ones I can sing with the best emotion to. And so like I was like, look at me, like I look great. I got friends around who, funny enough, were like giving him the investigation. I was like, well, that's an interesting twist on things. Um, but like I wasn't up there in the energy of like impressing anyone or fawning over anyone. I was just doing me. But what I loved is Eamon got up there and did like Carry On My Wayward Son and some other songs that he did to impress his dad and a couple to impress me too, which we talked about later. And I did a fresh haircut for him. I put on the community section, and like he had a really good time. And his friend came up, and like the gal we're staying with came and she made a cake for him and came, and it was nice. It was nice to have that. And it was really funny because the song that I had signed up for, like my DM was running late, which is it's such a funny giggle for me because he never used to be late for almost anything. Now he's late for almost everything. And it's like, oh yeah, gee, you used to get on me for being late to everything. Like, isn't karma delightful? But anyways, I didn't know that he was going to walk in soon, and then my turn would be pretty much right after he walked in. And like I had just talked to Eamon and his friend about like what Disney songs do you like that I do, and they were like Poor Unfortunate Souls, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. It's a decent like second warm up song. So when he came in, that's the song that I sang. And considering the like pseudo pirating that I let myself do, to like heal and let stuff out. It was just so funny. They're like they weren't kidding when they called me a witch. It was like, but I've spent all my days repented, seen the light, and made the switch true. Yes, poor unfortunate souls. I don't know. I figure if I was a villain, it'd probably be something like that. But it's more like it's really funny to me. It's like more how a lot of other people tend to think, and it like highlights my shadow of being like, oh, you poor thing, you're sitting around complaining like you're not the only one going through hard times. And then at the same time too, like I have immense empathy for people, and it's also like I get that your story is true. I get that you feel the way that you do and that those feelings feel like facts, though you've got to empower yourself. And if you're not willing to, well, then you poor unfortunate soul. This one longing to be thinner, that one wants to get the girl, and do I help them? Yes, indeed. Like, I mean, I got compassion in there and stuff. But I don't know. It was really fun to be able to do that and to see the different, like, I don't know, different interactions with the kids. They were really happy that he seemed to actually show up in a good mood. And like my youngest said that he told me that he wanted to go. We've been learning the difference between want and need, and I'm happy to see him doing that. And things are evening out, I think, in terms of the energy of the pirating in general. And in most other ways, I just feel very free of a whole, like a light. It feels like I was like dragging, it's funny metaphor, dragging skull, like heavy buffalo skulls behind me for like most of the first part of my life. And now it's like, oh, that weight has been lifted. I feel liberated. I feel abundant and rich, even though like I was just like giving myself like a little reward because I made enough money today to like save a little money. It's not a lot of money, but it's a little bit. And I'm like, yay. Like, and look at that, like odd jobs and things like that. And I'm working on building experience so that I can maybe get into something a little more stable and possibly like trade for housing because there's some pretty nice deals around. It's like just building experience doing that. And it's like, there's so many nice things going on that actually kind of makes me giggle to a certain degree when people are like, how can you be so stable and so happy? Like the fact that you're not crazy is almost making us wonder if we're crazy, or maybe you are crazy and you're really good at like pretending or something like that. When really it's like, look at how many good things are happening. Like go back and listen to my story, you know what I mean? Go back and read through the community section. You'll see why like this is very like unburdening. It's like opening things up, like having a nice sweat lodge or sauna or something. Like all the pores are opening up, and it feels nice. It feels refreshing. It feels like adventure, which is part of what the Wickedly Divine Lightwork Tour is about. And with that, I think we'll end this here. Thank you all for watching and asking me about what's going on and continuing to donate here and there. It's really really helpful. And just all of your wishes and those of you who like to live vicariously through my adventures. I will come back on in some form at some point in time, a video or manner, and update you about more. I'm not sure if it'll be soon because I am tired and I have lots of work lined up for the next week, but I know it'll be fit in there somewhere. Till then, I bid you adieu.